welcome back to the Information Command Center. We're here with another live update for you.
We are live from the Information Command Center.
Ici à headquarters COVID-19. Côté nous avons information développement là pour faire et puis COVID.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Stepping Up. I'm your host Daniel Dubois, and today we will be zoning into the Information Command Center, and we are going to see how they have been stepping up for the past 3 months, as they have been the ones at the realm of giving all the information and updating the nation during this COVID-19 pandemic. And I am so privileged and honored to be interviewing the lady with the angelic voice, I say, because I'm just so amazed with just how she handles herself as a young journalist and broadcaster. Jessie Leos, how are you, darling?
You shower me, you flatter me.
It's the truth.
You're buttering me up.
It's the truth.
I'm good, thank you, under the circumstances.
Yes, it's quite tough, I must say, but we really wanted to zone in on all the work you guys have been doing over the past few, I would say almost months, because everything started in April and we're now currently in June. So just let us know, what was it like being a part of the Information Command Center from the very beginning and seeing that progress of work up until today?
Well, the operations started at the beginning of April, and things were getting really feverish in terms of COVID-19 globally. And I believe the government of St. Lucia making preparations to inform the public of its response to this, the onset of the pandemic. We were brought in, Carlton, myself, joining the GIS team to really get the Information Command Center going. And it was very important. I mean, it doesn't even need to be said, the importance, the significance of ensuring that we get information clearly to the public so they understand things. As you've so far seen, the information would evolve so quickly. You know, and so we'd had to, on a daily basis, come with word from the Ministry of Health, if it be the Environmental Health Department, the Office of the Prime Minister, all of that information. It is so much because COVID-19 has affected all the sectors. It has brought upon the efforts of so many frontliners, and so all of the information coming in and the information that needs to go back out to the public would have to come in a way that when we get it, we can filter it out appropriately at the specific times during the day. And so it was very important, as I mentioned, you know, for it to get out in a timely fashion, being very clear. Clarity was critical and continues to be critical in our providing of information. We have to understand that the residents of St. Lucians living in the diaspora have varying understandings. Some individuals prefer to speak in Creole. We have Carlton, you know, on set to assist with that. And re-emphasizing, you know, it may come across to people that we are hopping on the topics over and over, but you know, there have been many persons who have come up to me and said, you know, the information you said on a particular day was very helpful for me, but I know I said it the 5th time, you know. So it was very, you know, the work was initially, I have never been confronted with a project like this, but we just went in, Carlton and myself, on the mornings. We had Lisa Joseph and Mr. Primus Hutchinson at lunch, and in the afternoon, Mr. Tony Nicholas. We just went in to ensure that we did the best we could, you know, even thinking on it from a personal perspective. What would I need to know on a particular day?
I was now coming to segue to come and ask you, on a personal note, this is probably like nothing that we've ever seen before in terms of the constant being online, the dissemination of information, and being live. Absolutely. So can you speak to that experience in terms of your career? I know you've had your you used to work in television stations, etc. How was it working now for the government of St. Lucia and having this post and this role?
Well, I worked briefly in government last year, so I did get some insight in terms of public service dissemination, information dissemination, quite different to what you would do in perhaps a private media house. You would have seen the work that they're doing. Ours is primarily to provide succinct, to the point, clear information to the public as it comes out of the Office of the Prime Minister, the desk of the CMO, and that's what it has been, and being able to reinforce, re-emphasize as the news cycle, the day cycle goes on.
Okay, so we know that you guys go live several times a day, and you've been doing it for several weeks. Was there any time that you felt overwhelmed?
Overwhelmed, I wouldn't say.
What story comes to mind or what day comes to mind? Because when I think about it too, and a lot of people who've been working and haven't stopped working, and a lot of people have not stopped working from the shutdown up until today, everybody has a story to tell about something that happened, or whether it was the lockdown and not having access to, you know, the supermarkets and different things like that. For me, I remember the heat in the office, and when we were about to announce the first case of COVID in St. Lucia. And for me, just reminded everyone that everybody's human, and everybody, I won't say scared, but everybody was on point, on alert, high alert. And just seeing the office shift into gear to basically start with the coverage. So I remember that, and you know, I don't think I'll ever forget, and then how it was every day. It was a different case, and me looking back. So I'm sure there's a story you could tell, you know, being on the forefront of disseminating all of that information that you could, you know, share with us.
Well, definitely. I take the job with, you know, I respect the job very much. You know, I approach it with a lot of reverence, in understanding that I have a part to play in people's lives. You know, this situation is very serious. We've seen, you know, several deaths. Families have been impacted, changed forever, you know, due to COVID-19 globally. And I felt that in terms of St. Lucia, where St. Lucians were concerned, where residents of St. Lucia were concerned, I approached it with a great deal of reverence. And I think the same can be said with Carlton. You know, we took everything that came from the Office of the Prime Minister, everything that came from the Ministry of Health and Wellness, and ensured that we were able to give it to the public in a way that was palatable for them. You know, they understood, well, today you can't go out because there is a 24-hour lockdown. But today the measures are less stringent, they're flexible, so you can go out. But if you're going out, wear a mask. You know, the reinforcement of these points, I think, was very important. And daunting, I couldn't even say that, because when you understand the importance of the task, you know, the pressure of it is eclipsed by the importance of it, how momentous it is, you know, at the time of having to be disseminated.
So it's like, put the emotions aside, we have to let the nation know we are on alert, we are on guard.
Now, I can't speak for frontline workers, but I can tell you that I have a sort of a glimpse, due to the last couple of months that we've been working in studio, as to the heaviness and ensuring that we can get to the public, you know, we can get them to understand, not just, you know, spoon feed them with information or regurgitate information, but get them to understand what the OPM, Ministry of Health, is trying to convey at a particular time.
Thank you so much, Jesse. And as you speak about understanding, we're going to talk to Carlton, the man cooks, and he's going to talk about the importance of Patwa and how he has had a hand in ensuring that the nation was updated throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. We'll be right back.
Here are some tips on what you need to do to reduce the risk of getting COVID-19 while you're grocery shopping. On your way into the supermarket or shop, remember to wash or sanitize your hands. You may want to think about sanitizing your trolley too. When you're shopping, don't touch the produce unless you're buying it. And please, do not touch your face. Try your utmost to keep your distance from other shoppers and staff. 6 feet is best. Let's go through who should be doing the shopping. If you're not feeling well, you should not be there. If you're elderly or have a compromised immune system, please proceed with caution. And if you're healthy enough to shop, maybe think about picking up a few items for those you know who can't. As for when to shop, where possible, avoid peak hours in order to avoid overcrowding. In addition to food, it's a good idea to have enough cleansers and other supplies to last a few weeks. Stock up on over-the-counter or prescription medication you may need. And don't forget, on your way out of the shop or supermarket, wash or sanitize your hands again. Remember, keep your trips to the supermarket or shop to an absolute minimum. And when you do get home, you might want to give your fruit and vegetables an extra good scrub. Explore options for online shopping and consider using delivery, order online, and just pick up. Together, we can mitigate against the spread of COVID-19.
And welcome back. And I am here with our second guest, the infamous, the popular, the man himself, Cooks. How are you, Mr. Carlton Cyril?
Not as fine as you, my dear. Thanks for having me, but I'm rather okay. Blessed day, another good day, another day in the system. Having to do what you have to do. Yeah.
Thank you very much. How do you respond to that? I'm happy you're doing so well, Cooks. Happy that you're doing so well. But, we're here to talk about the Information Command Center.
Yeah, definitely.
And, we really wanted to zone in on the importance of Patois and that role that you played. So can you let us know a little bit about when you started and, the role and how you've been doing?
Yes, as a matter of fact, it's right up my alley. I'm speaking of Creole. I mean, I have this argument I make all the time. It's like, getting the information out there, yes, but does it reach your intended audience is the point I think we need to be asking. And from that point of view, you would know why I'm so passionate about it when it comes to Creole. Of course, with the background of Chekapesh, with the background of doing the radio program Creole in the morning, with that background, set, you would know I personally, I have that would you say sensitive side when it comes to Creole? And I believe persons a lot of the times when we see persons not following protocol, if we have to zone in on what we are doing, it's because the information have not gotten to them, some of them. And even sometimes we have it on set, we have that argument. I say to Jesse, you don't believe we have preview to what's going on. The information is coming, domino effect. We heard of the curfew, we heard what next, we have preview to it and it. But for some persons, amidst everything, do they even have the time to see the first part? Did they even hear about the curfew? Did they even hear about the follow-up, the CMO's report? So, it puts you in that position that each time when we come out there that you make sure, hey, you catch those persons who didn't hear and at the same time disseminate the information. So yeah, the Creole, as it relates to me being there and having the opportunity to provide my services, it's right up my alley.
So I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked Jesse. Was there any point in time that you felt overwhelmed or you just felt like it was too much? Or, they say heavy is the head sometimes, in terms of being in that space where you're responsible for doing it and doing it well.
No, at no point in time I felt overwhelmed to say such. What I did feel was the need to get it right and to make sure what I'm doing, that I'm reaching the intended audience. And of course, if I have to point to a certain point in time, it would have been the curfew. When the Prime Minister and the CMO was on set to make the announcements, and everybody's like, what is going to be? How is it going to be? And then it's like, so curfew is like 7, and the Nemo passes. I mean, that comes back to mind, even when it comes to the borders, and you had the zoning, when those announcements, at those critical points, I mean, there was cause for concern and say, boy, how would the public take it? But let's just say it was more, like I said, making sure that after the CMOs and PMs report, or after they address the nation, that for our part, we got it right, that persons understood, what it was. And of course, the repetition was another aspect about it. We have that little joke in studio. Miguel comes now and Miguel is addressing in Creole. Headquarters COVID. Which meant that even Miguel keep hearing the Creole and he's walking out now, saying
there was a peculiar point in time. Well, I don't speak Patois.
Right.
Please don't beat me for that. But there was the way you said it and what you said. I was like, whatever you said, all the people who speak in Patois got the point, okay? Because he went on and like you could have seen, like he just picked up. And I must say that you and Jesse do share a really special bond, so you could see, and it's like, handing over to you, Cyril, and handing over to you, Cokes. Every time she mentions your name, you can see she laughs because like, the jokester, it's his time.
So it's, without cutting you short, is my son saying, Daddy, so why does Jesse say Carlton Cyril? But yes, it's nice to have that kind of cohesiveness on stage, on set. Because sometimes I'm like, I hope Jesse pick up, and I'm like, oui, it's a bomba guy, Jesse, oui, yeah. So I mean, it's good too, right? And rightly, Jesse is always on Facebook, and we're making sure we keep, that interaction going. And there was this lady that called on our week in review, which happens on a Saturday, and she was like, man, hats off to Jesse, you guys are doing a good job. Actually, she's a visitor to St. Lucia, and she's been following what's going on, and she uses NTNGIS as a medium to catch up what's going on, and she was commending, what the efforts. And she went as far as saying, the young man, whatever he's saying, I don't know, but it's good, because I could see the way he's saying it. So,
the emphasis and the repetition. And sometimes a lot of people may not be able to speak patois, but like I class myself as being able to understand
it, right?
And certain words, and there's context clues as well. The point was driven home, man. No doubt about that. For sure.
But I do try my best. I'm trying in this. I do not know it all. And of course, I try to put myself in the audience
like
position.
The true actor.
Yes, So I try to make sure. And if you notice, we are always on point in terms of whatever Jesse says is the repetition, but making sure that we get it across and getting it right,
so people
and people understand it. Basically. So,
on a personal side too, everybody sees you as this comedian. He appears in commercials. Cooks. Since growing up, you just know cooks.
Yep.
Is this the first time you've been placed in a position like this where it's a lot more serious and it's not about the laughs and with the script and stuff like that? In my opinion, I think this is the first time I'm seeing you in this light. And I would say that I didn't even know that he was such an influential speaker and, that you were able to hold a post like that and be able to disseminate information to the nation. So is that a part of you that St. Lucians didn't know existed, or do you think it's just a part of Cokes?
No, I would say some, if you want to say some persons probably would be surprised, but if you know anything about me and my background, I did some time with radio. I had my own Creole program for 4 hours. I've done 3 radio stations and taken the break. Of course, I still have the set in terms of the camera. I've worked with, notably, when it comes to Derek Walcott. He was about to shoot that Tisha and His Brothers.
Yes.
So we did some work. My workshops too, the transition from the stage to the camera. A lot of that have been done. Of course, our production, our ads, and being involved with media personnel and the fraternity. So nothing new. The Creole aspect about it and being on set, yes, to do it back to back on a regular basis. Yes, but it's something that I have a passion for. And what I would say is, and I say it all the time, I normally go to the schools to do the theater arts SB, and persons say, what would you recommend me to do, or what advice would you have for somebody out there? And I think it all points to the passion. When you have a passion in what you do, it shows. You're into it. Nothing is a problem. You want to do what would get you there. I'm by no means claiming to be, the know-it-all and whatever, but I'm always up to the challenge, and I always believe, getting it right and putting your all. And if you don't know, many a times I have to go to Jesse. I say, Jesse's like, no. Exactly. So I welcome the challenge. It's something that's well at home. I'm passionate about it. And of course, the situation which we have never been in before. I've done stuff like the NTN live shows, with my good friend, I call her Stephanie. We have done the live and stuff, but on a regular basis like that, no, but I do enjoy it, and it's a very good experience. Very good experience.
Well, hats off to you, Carlton.
Thanks.
Carlton Cyril.
Thanks so much.
Anything you want to say just to wrap up in terms of,
Yeah, I'm saying in all, it's a good journey, and I hope persons could find it to at least get the message in all of this that it's a pandemic. It has never happened. There's no, and like we keep saying, it's fluid. You know, ek matikai kite si madi, moi apprécié si pour enchaîner cette lycéen habay, et puis c'est yon bagay moi MFM, moi na passion pour li, lay vini pour ka baye information ek parler ek COVID, the headquarters là, ban moi opportunité pour faire ça avec moi quoi, moun sa henni pour suivre JID avec protocole les vini pour affaire Covid là. Et merci tellement pour nous et puis moi apprécie situation avec moi ka essayer faire ça moi ça. I'm trying this and I am enjoying it and welcoming the opportunity to improve, of course, and learn.
D'accord. Thank you very much, and we'll be right back, guys.
COVID-19 is a new pandemic disease as declared by the World Health Organization. It is transmitted directly by respiratory droplets when an infected person coughs or sneezes, or indirectly through rubbing the face with contaminated hands. There is still no specific treatment or vaccine against COVID-19, and as such, the farming community should adhere to some special recommendations. Reduce your farm labor to only essential workers. Ensure regular hand washing with soap and water, or use 60% to 95% alcohol-based hand sanitizer until soap and water are available. Clean all work surfaces and farm tools such as cutlasses, forks and sprayers with a 10% bleach solution. Ensure that toilets are cleaned thoroughly after each use and sanitized daily. Prohibit visitors to the farms. Limit contact among farm workers and promote social distances, ensuring 6 feet between each worker, and promote a no handshaking or unnecessary touch policy. More than ever before, your important role as the gatekeepers of St. Lucia's nutritional health and food security should be taken seriously. When you exercise these precautions, you not only safeguard your health, but also continue to allow all St. Lucians access to freshly grown fruits, vegetables, and other local crops. Remember, it is our responsibility to ensure our nation eats fresh, St. Lucia's best.
And with me to start our interview segment is Davina Lee, and she is the Principal Information Officer. Hello, Davina.
Hi, Danielle. Thanks for having me. But before we start the interview, I just like to promote our new show that's coming. It's called Ask Me Anything. So if anybody has a question for anyone in government, it could be the Prime Minister, it could be anyone. Just send a video, right, of yourself asking your question to askmeanythingntn@gmail.com. Okay, so then we're going to give you the answer. Basically, any question you have, ask me anything, me, anybody. Okay? So.
I love that idea, but I didn't know it would have been ambush marketing.
Thank you for the promo. Thanks for the promo.
That
promo
is what
time.
we call aggressive marketing.
Yes.
All right. But we're here for it because, you know, what our focus here at GIS and, you know, with the Information Command Center has been disseminating information and updating the nation with everything that they need to know as we continue to chart through these very uncertain times. So let's start with you, Davina. Let's talk about your programming, I would say, as of the last 2-3 months.
Okay. So when COVID was, I guess, all over, it hadn't gotten to St. Lucia yet. We hadn't even had our first case yet. The Prime Minister said to us, we need to update the nation on COVID, right? I want you guys to ensure that St. Lucians have the information and they are well informed. So it was more than a week before we got first case that we changed into the command center. And we didn't have the backdrop yet, but the information going out was purely COVID, right? So we would have a morning show, morning news, and then we had a midday update, which took the form of a press conference sort of, and we had an afternoon show and a wrap-up, and we would have nightly news. So it has kind of continued and grown since then. That was since before the 13th of March when it was first case. And then we have our lovely hosts. We have Jesse and Carlton in the morning, people love. We have Lisa and Primus at midday. We also have Tony Nicholas in the afternoons. And we have nightly news with Janelle in the evenings. So it's been really COVID centered for the past few months, but now we're going into hurricane season and we also have to keep people updated on that. We just had a drought.
Yeah.
We were keeping people updated on that. So yes,
That's
we try
the role
our
that you
best
guys
to,
have been
right
playing.
now, we just have to keep the nation informed on what is happening. And we want to know that people can know that when you tune into NTN, if it's on TV or if it's Facebook or if it's YouTube, that the information you get is accurate. We get information from the sources. So if it's the CMO, if it's the PM, if it's the police commissioner, you know that the information you're getting right here is accurate.
Yes. Let's talk about how overwhelming has it been. Like I got to speak to the host before I got to speak to you. What are some of the things you could say? One of the days, what was like an overwhelming day? Did you feel, because at the end of the day, this is new for each and every one of us, and having to navigate this and be a leader, to be in charge, to still manage people, and to still know that you have this immense responsibility to get this information out.
Let me tell you, I can say that the staff of GIS, they're soldiers. I just have to say that because everybody just on board. We had a meeting and said, it was like the Monday. I said to them, from tomorrow, we're going into strictly COVID information news. And that's what happened. Everybody was just on board, right? It obviously is different than how I guess everybody has to operate differently. Yeah. Any sector right now, you have to operate differently in this COVID time. For us, it was a complete change because we go live 3-4 times a day. And most times before, we would have gone live maybe once a week or something for a program. And most of our other programs would be produced, like our news or any other documentary stuff would have been produced.
So when you say that the pandemic basically pushed the innovation, it pushed the dynamic.
Yes, it pushed us to really, it pushed us, the staff, all of us, to show that what we're capable of. And I know that we're capable of even more right now. So it was overwhelming at times, especially in the beginning, because I don't think any of us have had a full night's sleep yet. I don't know anybody who's had like a weekend. We work 7 days a week here. So on Saturdays we have our roundup of the week. So we keep people informed as to what happened during the week. Sunday we have a panel discussion, which is roadmap to recovery. So what's happening because of COVID? How are people going through and being able to deal with that? So I'll say it's overwhelming, but it's been a good experience, I guess you can say, amidst all the negativity. Or I shouldn't say negativity, but the bad news.
Uncertainty.
The uncertainty, that's the word.
A lot of information, and you watch news, and then there's another story about COVID, and there's more information we don't know, and it's a lot.
And we try to not just stick to the health stuff. There are other aspects of it. What are the young people, I guess just like what your show is doing, the young people, the creatives, what's going on with them. We speak to, for example, in the banking sector, what's happening in finance, what's happening in the economy, It's like different aspects to it. Also, people that need psychosocial support, we've been touching on that as well. So we try to make it as varied as possible, not just focus on the health side, although that is a big part of it, but there are other aspects to this whole COVID thing.
Lavina, tell us what's next for GIS, NTN.
Apart from Ask Me Anything. I don't want to say too much at this point.
I know.
But we have more programming, more interesting programming, wider than I'd say the COVID right now. So I just want people to stay tuned to NTN, channel 122 on TV. We're Government of St. Lucia on YouTube, Government of St. Lucia on Facebook. We have a podcast as well, pod.co, and then you just search for Government of St. Lucia, so you can listen to us on the go as well. So, yes, I don't know what else you want to know from me. What else
you want to ask me? Anything? I should hold on to the side.
Yes, I'll ask you.
I'm always the one asking the questions.
Yes, exactly. So, Daniel, tell me, how has it been for you in this whole COVID environment? You've had to step up. You have a new show. What has that been like?
It's been a lot. Very interesting, and I think it's pushing me to be a little bit more disciplined.
Okay.
It's very different from my creative. People who know me to be very, just fluid and very, I don't do well with scheduling and stuff like that. Yes, the artist in me sometimes is Yes,
It's like
so
fighting, the artists and
yes.
the...
But besides that, I think I feel very privileged to be able to be a part of it during this ongoing pandemic. Whatever the future brings, I know I'll probably write a very amazing story about it in the end. And I'm just happy to be a part of it, and I pray a lot.
That's important, I think.
Yeah, and I think that mental health aspect to it, and you have to challenge and take care of yourself. And I think this is what the pandemic is doing to me and everybody else, and I'm just here for it.
Yeah, and I think people have to learn to be gentle with themselves. That's just a takeaway.
Basically.
Yeah, okay. It was nice having you.
It was nice having you.
Okay, unless we should
And
hold
with
this
that,
together.
guys.
Remember, ask me anything, ntn@gmail.com.
Thanks again for joining us for another episode of Stepping Up. We hope you enjoyed the behind-the-scenes feature of the Information Command Center, the Government Information Service, and getting to know the hardworking people behind and in front of the scenes who continue to inform the nation on a daily basis. If you know anyone who is stepping up in your community, feel free to reach out to us at steppingup758@gmail.com. I'm your host, Daniel Dubois. Continue to keep safe and don't forget to keep stepping up.